you, Spirit Choir. That was beautiful. As usual, there's no accidents, and lyrics always seem to match up perfectly with what I'm going to talk about today. And from candles to light to everything. So thank you for that. The title of my talk today is Falling in Love with Life. How many of you can remember your first love or falling in love with them? Anybody? Oh, good. Perhaps you're still sitting next to that person. You might have been a teen. Oh, really? Oh. Okay, I'm finding out a lot today. But do you remember the butterflies that you got in your stomach and the fact that you couldn't eat or sleep for weeks on end and you'd always say really stupid things when you were around them? Or was that just me? Maybe. Because I was really shy as a high school student. And I remember going out on one of my very first dates. I was pretty terrified. And for a number of reasons, I just didn't want him to kiss me goodnight. So as we pulled into the driveway, I had my hand on the doorknob, and I knew that I was just going to quickly jump out so I'd have the door between us, and I'd avoid any awkward moment. So as I jumped out, I stepped back to say goodnight. I forgot that we had a 2-foot deep ditch right next to the driveway. Well, I quickly stepped back, falling into the ditch. Now, I didn't get hurt, but I just kind of lay there. It was dark, and I was hoping that he wouldn't notice that I just vanished into midair. Well, a few moments later, he said, "Lisa, are you okay?" Kind of put the thumb up like, "It's all good here. Nothing to see, folks." That wasn't so much falling in love as just plain falling. But sometimes it's easier to try and be invisible. I was embarrassed. I didn't want to get up. We've just come through some of the darkest days of winter. And I know that these times can be rather difficult for many people. People often get stuck in sad places where it's sometimes easier just to keep laying down, hoping that nobody will notice the ditch you're in. There's not a lot of joy, and we don't want to do much, let alone get up. Well, as we move into February, we have the hint and promise of spring. I don't know how many of you have seen the daffodils that are emerging out of the dark, cold ground. And yesterday, as I walked along with the breeze, all these beautiful white petals just fluttered down on me. It was like it was snowing flowers. It was amazing. And so I invite you to try and at least look up. Maybe sit up if you can and glance around at all the beauty. For it's a great opportunity here in February to learn to fall in love with life again or for the first time. It could be similar to how you felt about that special someone, except this way, nobody gets humiliated. There also isn't a whole lot of rejection, for I found life in general to be pretty mutual in its admiration. There isn't all that unrequited love, and it doesn't get jealous if you have multiple life experiences. It also won't pressure you to explain where you've been until 2 a.m. You don't have to be pretending that you're anybody that you're not, for life accepts us just as we appear to be, despite how foolish we often are in our quest to find it. Now, I've broken the word love into an acronym today to help give little bits of information about each one. And let's start with the letter L. You can add your own steps to spice it up, but we'll begin here. In this case, L will represent listening. Rumi wrote, "Your task is not to seek for love, but merely seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. End of quote. We often put up barriers to self-love. And when we listen to those inner negative voices, we can't begin to love ourselves. That's why I love that song this morning. I am love. Meditation can help still and quiet that busy mind so we can listen to spirit, which would never speak to us in such a derogatory way. All that negative stuff is usually from that made-up muck that we've been hauling around for years. You know, it's kind of like the peanut gallery, but I like to call them brain bullies. They can judge quickly from the top of your head down to the tips of your toes. They can also exaggerate much of the negative perceptions and opinions of others, like their gospel truth. Marcia Hutchmore once said, if you talk to your friends the way you talk to your body, you'd have no friends left. Think about that. Do you remember listening to people's judgments about how you looked when you were younger? I remember hearing kids say that if I turned sideways and stuck out my tongue, I'd be a zipper. I didn't want to be a zipper. They also said my legs were too long, but they were the only legs that I had, and I was trying my hardest to grow into them. My parents didn't have a lot of money, and so I got the hand-me-down pants from my older sisters who were shorter than I. Now, I've shared this practice before, but I think it's critically important. What I want you to do in the privacy of your own shower is sing or hum, if you don't know the words, some positive song. And as you're lathering up your body, just thank all the cells for supporting you in being the best person that you could be. And I always see the water like showering blessings on me. That's why I love that song, You Are So Blessed. Linda, what's another positive song they could sing? Oh, okay. Pay attention to their second song and then take it to the shower with you. Also, be selective in your listening. Listen to that inner guide that reminds you that you are made of the same stardust that lights up the night sky. You are made with an amazing power that causes birds' wings to flap, and that also can shift mountains and allows the seasons to change. The Buddhists have a story that says, imagine if the entire planet was covered with water. Now imagine that there's one single life preserver ring floating around on the surface. Now suppose that there is an old sea turtle that comes up to the surface once every 100 years. What are the chances that when it lifts its head through the surface that it comes up through the ring? These are the odds and how rare it is to take human form. That's how rare it is. Now, I don't know about you, but after hearing this, I felt suddenly blessed to be in my physical form. I began to ignore some more of those brain bullies and know that we're all beautiful creations manifested in our bodies for a reason. Begin by falling in love with the idea that states, no matter how achy or imperfect our bodies often appear to be, they are beautifully made as our current modes of transportation. They enable us to experience this life process in a tactile, tangible way. Now, there are billions of other physical manifestations that we could have been birthed into. Think about it. Millions of ants out there. There are a lot of cockroaches, too. There are lots of mosquitoes. Other than being a dog, a bird, or a dolphin, I'm quite happy to have human form. Listen also to those other individuals that you meet along the way with deep compassion. Remember, they might not be on the same journey as you, but theirs is a rich and diverse one. They are also rare, blessed sea turtles in disguise. And if you listen closely, you might just discover why you both came to the surface at the same time. So the first step then is listening to that inner guidance that supports and loves every part of you. The O in the word love is for openness. Falling in love with life means being open to the existence of amazing adventures. Start by opening your eyes in the morning and just looking around you at all that there is to appreciate. Be open to meeting new people. You can start with a smile. You don't have to marry them. Just invite somebody for a walk. Have that connection. Be open to doing new things that perhaps you didn't think you could do. Take a painting. We now have a class with wine and cheese that you could play with. Maybe play an instrument. Or maybe walk down a new path or road that you've never been on. How many of you take the same route every day? Well, break through that mold. Try new activities and foods that help spark those neurons into dusting out the cobwebs and revitalizing your whole being. Albert Einstein said, "I have no special talents. I am only passionately curious." I think we can all be geniuses with that. I know this is one reason why I love to travel. It helps stir up my reality, creating new space for adventure and growth. When I see things for the first time, I am passionately curious about them. I am in awe by all that there is that's different out there, and it helps inspire me to know that we can do life differently. The only thing I knew about Borneo before I went there was that they had headhunters. Wasn't too excited about that, but once I arrived, I fell in love with the jungle and its inhabitants. I loved the giant orangutans as they would swing about, and I still kept my head about me the whole time. I slid down muddy waterfalls and tried on new clothes and new foods and tried to pronounce words that I had never heard before. Now, you don't have to travel. You don't have to go to Borneo, although I do encourage it, but just get out of your comfort zone via a different life experience. Who knows? You might end up falling in love with something, someone, or some place that you never thought possible. V in love stands for visualize. If you can't see it first in your mind's eye and feel it with your whole being, then the chances of it manifesting are a bit more difficult. I'm going to show you something here. To just take a look at these candles. I know it's the wrong holiday. Sorry about that. Okay. Oop, wrong end. Got 4 different candles. I hope everybody can see. Now, how are they different? Shape, size, color. Good. You guys are smart. Shape, size, color. Now, somebody created the mold for these to flow into. You don't blame the wax saying, "Oh, you stupid wax. Look at the shape you've made." No, candles just flow when you're making them into whatever mold that you've established, just like life. We create the mold with our thoughts and emotions, and then this universal wax pours into it according to our template, our design for it. So, Allow yourself to focus on what you want to attract, because we get what we think about, whether we like it or not. You can fall in love with a new creation by designing something new for that mold or mental wax to fall in. You don't want mold falling in. You can create the mold for your mental wax to flow into, one thought at a time. Now, where's Mo? I need Mo. Mo, could you please stand up? I'd like you to first walk over, ring the chimes, and then go to the back again, and then come up here in the most direct way you can. Oh, as quickly as you can, by the way. Forgot to add that part in without hurting yourself or another. You made it. Okay, so tell me a little bit about your journey.
You said it would be easy.
Okay, let me feed you. So, did you complain about all the obstacles in your way?
Just this
Yeah.
my whole life.
Yeah. Breaking it down for you, very simple.
Straight in to the chimes and over and up.
Okay, did you complain about all the people who were in your way?
Nobody was in my way.
Oh, okay, good. And did you say, I'm such a victim. Why does Lisa always pick on me?
No, I said, oh, this will be interesting.
Okay, but you didn't yell at anybody who perhaps didn't get in your way?
No, I was ready.
Okay,
Ready.
okay,
New
okay.
adventure.
Good,
All
thank you,
ready.
Mo. I appreciate that. Let's give her a hand for, yep. Told you it'd be simple. Now, once you decide what you want, it's important to visualize that. Sometimes you might have to take a little detour, and you don't know why. I actually did that because I love the sound of the chimes, to have her have an extra step. But I'm also thinking now of the Olympians. How many of you have been watching the Olympics? Okay, good. So you know that they first see it in their mind's eye. I've heard numerous stories of these little kids who said, in 2018 or 2022, I'm going to go to the Olympics and I'm going to participate as an Olympian. That just warms my heart. They set that intention. They visualized it. And they made it happen. At the beginning of January, I had the Cosmic Kids create vision boards. I think you're all familiar with vision boards. Well, this little girl, she confidently put a giant chocolate cupcake on the middle of her vision board. Right after the service, we went into Books and Bistro, where there was a whole plate of giant chocolate cupcakes. And I just watched her confidently and proudly devour her manifestation. I want to read to you something that goes along with this. I love this book, The Power of Decision, by Raymond Charles Barker. And in it, he states on page 11, reserve your mental image. I am writing this book for those people who want to create their own good and not have it created for them by others. They are willing and able to accept the responsibility for their own mental actions. They refuse to dodge the alibis induced within their own consciousness. Ever come up with alibis about why you can't do something? They face themselves, correct their own thought, and create their own heaven on earth. They have made the decision to be the creative centers of their own experiences. They no longer have blame or censure. They do not believe as others believe. Sounds like a lot of people in this room. They reverse their thinking and make certain it agrees with the goals of their decision. They hold fast to the line. They do not waver. They know, and what they know causes their good to happen. Falling in love with life is about visualizing what you want and what you love and creating that mold for it to form. Don't be hard on yourself if you don't demonstrate a cupcake the first time around. You can always recreate by forming a new mental image. Tonight we'll be seeing the movie Inside Out, and I hope a lot of you can attend. Now, this isn't a spoiler alert, but there is one scene in there where the main characters are kind of stuck in a pit. And they don't just bemoan it, and they don't sit there and just complain about it. They see how to get out of it. And then they say the affirmations and believe the thoughts they need in order to get to that new place. The last letter in love is E. Anybody want to take a guess at what E means? Oh, well, lots of good ones. My next talk maybe, but what? Enchiladas. How did you know? Of course. Enchiladas. Don't we all love enchiladas? E in this case is expectancy. I'm sure you guys all thought that too. This is very powerful, for when we are in that state of expectancy, we are kind of adding a fuel to this manifestation machine. Remember back again to falling, not in a ditch, but in love for the first time. You were in that excited, expecting place that you knew whatever you would be doing would be joyous because you were with that person. Expectancy is truly the emotional magic that allows the universe to say, yes, this person is ready and allowing, so here you are. Everything is energy. And so as we add this joyous, juicy, excited feeling, anticipating only good, we cannot help but draw love back to us. One more part of the power of decision that I really liked. Barker says, why should you not expect the greatest and the finest in your life? We exist in a divine bounty that awaits our taking, and the way of taking is a mental one that starts with desire, decision, and expectancy. No one is ever too young or too old to expect great things. No one is too poor or too rich to expect great things. If you are sick, expect to get well. If you are unhappy, expect to be happy. No power outside yourself is demanding that you be miserable. I know it feels like that sometimes. All of life wants you to be healthy, happy, and free to do and what you want to do. As I write this book, I expect it to be a great book. I expect to sell all over the world. I expect that thousands of people whom I never met and will never know will read this book and profit by it. I know what I want to have happen, so it will happen. Think about that with what you're expecting in life. Do you have that same conviction? We know that things exist that we cannot see. Think of a newly planted garden or a pregnant woman in her first term. While the manifestation cannot yet be seen, there is excitement and confidence in the expectation of it. You nurture your desire into existence by saying yes to all that feels right along the creation process. This is where I want to reintroduce the concept of unconditional love. I want you to think about it just slightly different because it perhaps is different here than what you're familiar with. What unconditional love means here is that you aren't dependent upon the outer conditions in order to be happy. You know that everything is working out perfectly despite how the conditions appear. Now, I know it can be challenging, but we are so fixated on what has already been demonstrated that we stay stuck in what we don't want. The current conditions of our life are based on yesterday's thoughts. Now, you don't have to state how it will appear. And this is the best part. The universe knows far better than we do how to manifest our good and in perfect divine timing. I have had numerous experiences that have reminded me how clever Spirit is in bringing about my good in ways that I really never thought would be possible. Things that I never imagined. The universe designed things and manipulated things to present it to me. Think about your own life, where perhaps one of the greatest joys might have been an accident initially. Events that appeared confusing or even negative at first eventually revealed that they were the exact steps that had to occur in order for me to get where I needed to be. I could not always see the path, and that was okay. This is where unconditional love kicks in. I knew that despite the conditions, I would ultimately love the creation. It's also about trusting the universe, that it orchestrates everything for your best and highest experience. Take a deep breath in with me right now and just feel yourself surrounded by this loving energy that is rooting for you, that is knowing that you are going for the gold because that is where you came from. You cannot fail. Allow yourself to accept the invitation for this blind date with life. You might not see all the details, but it is your birthright to be happy, healthy, and fully alive. When you look for and focus on what you love, you get that. So fall in love with life again through listening, being open to new experiences, visualizing what you want, and expecting the highest and best to be revealed. For love is not just in the air. Love